Welcome back. In today's lesson, we will have a close look at some examples of procedure writing. After we're done, you should be able to understand the purpose of a procedure, identify the structure used. You should be able to identify the language needed and practice using a special type of verb. You should also be able to spot the other features we use to write procedures. Let's look at an example of a procedure. How to make a parachute. You will need a scissors, cotton thread, a plastic bag, and modelling clay. Instructions. 1. Using the scissors, cut a 20 cm square from the plastic bag. 2. Carefully attach cotton thread to each corner of the plastic square. 3. Cut a small hole in the middle of the plastic square to let the air rush out when flying. 4. Tie the loose ends of the cotton thread securely around the modelling clay weight. 5. Test the parachute gently by throwing it high in the air. 6. If it does not work, add or remove some of the modelling clay. Pause the video and try to answer the question, what is the author trying to do here? Why did they write this? The purpose of a procedure is to show someone how to do something. It tells them everything they need and gives them a step-by-step guide. Some of the procedures you might be familiar with include recipes and arts and crafts. Even when we tell someone how to do something by speaking to them, we use the same structure and language as we do in our writing. For example, your teacher will do this when they are explaining how to do maths in school. A person giving directions will do the same thing. Tutorials on YouTube, like some of the lessons on this channel, are procedures. Now this raises a very good question. Do we need to write procedures if we can use videos instead? Well, there are some activities where a moving picture on a screen is much handier, like a yoga lesson. Following a recipe, however, is much easier with written instructions because it's very hard to pause and rewind a video if you have pancake batter on your fingers. We should also remember that the person giving the instructions in a YouTube video has carefully planned it out by writing a procedure beforehand, so it's still a very important skill. Finally, writing clear instructions is a very important skill for coding. Coding is basically telling a computer program how to do lots of small things in the right order. Let's have a closer look at our example written by a child in 6th class. Procedures always have simple titles. If you are telling someone how to replace the chain on their bike, it's called How to Change Your Bike Chain. If it's a fudge brownie recipe, you call it Fudge Brownie Recipe. We always put the list of things you need at the start of a procedure. Why do you think that is? Pause the video and think for a moment. It's because you don't want your reader to be halfway through the instructions before realizing they are missing something. Imagine you were following a recipe. You had onions and mushrooms frying in the kitchen. And then you discovered that you can't make the sauce because no one told you that lemon juice is one of the ingredients. Every time you write a new item, it gets a new line to make it clear. We also use numbers so that people will know exactly how much of everything they need. Next, we have the instructions. Every step must be numbered and must start on a new line. This is because when we follow instructions, we read one step, then we do it. After that, we read the next step and go and do that. We don't read all the instructions in one go. Using numbers means we are able to find the next step quickly without having to reread the whole thing when we come back to it. Pictures can be very helpful for the reader because it can explain some things more easily than words. It can also show them what a finished item looks like. Now, that was a lot of work for our brains looking at lots of small details. It's time to pause the video and get up to move around. Try some of these exercises if you like. Let's have a look at another procedure, this time one written by somebody in 2nd class. How to make jelly. Ingredients: jelly and water. What we need: kettle, water, liter jug, spoon, bowl. Method 1. Fill the kettle with water and bring to the boil. 2. Break up the jelly into small pieces. 3. Put the jelly pieces into the jug. 4. Pour the boiling water over the jelly in the jug. 5. Stir well until all the jelly has dissolved. 6. Pour into the bowl. 7. Leave in a cold place to set. 8. Put in a dish. Add ice cream or cream. Taste. Are you surprised by anything? You might have noticed that the procedure written by the 6th class pupil wasn't much harder than this one. That's because writing a procedure is all about using simple, clear language that somebody can read quickly and easily. Next, pause the video and try to spot all the verbs in the recipe, the doing words. What do you notice about them and where they are in the sentence? The first thing you probably noticed is that they go at the start of the sentence. They also use the short version of the verb. This is called the imperative, but in school we sometimes say that they're commander verbs. If the bell rings in school, you might say, I'm going home. But if you were telling someone what to do, you would shorten the verb, put it to the start of the sentence and say, go home. A good way to practice using commands is to give some directions. Tell me, how would you get from the start to the Italian restaurant? Better yet, play with a partner and all tell each other how to get to different places on the map. If you would like some practice writing commander verbs, I will leave a link to a seesaw lesson in the description. Let's have a quick look at this procedure. Does it have anything that the others didn't? You might notice that the words before the step about using the jack are in thick red letters. This is because if you try to loosen the nuts with the car raised, the wheel will just spin uselessly. If one of our steps might be dangerous or has a very easy mistake that could ruin everything, we make it stand out. Can you see something dangerous we should warn our reader about here? We have to be very careful about boiling water, so in between step 3 and 4, I'm going to write a warning. NB. Get help from an adult with the boiling water. Now you don't have to write NB, I do sometimes. It's a Latin phrase that means note this well. It's something that we can use to show that this is very important. So, what have we learned? A procedure must start with a simple title, like How To. It must also have a You Will Need section at the start. We need to write instructions with numbered steps in the right order. We write with simple language and we use commander verbs at the start of each sentence. We use pictures where it is helpful to the reader. Okay, well done. Stay with me for the next video where I'm going to show you how to write a procedure step by step.